Hi, I'm Liz Seeley, founder of Starry-Eyed Strategy, and I help you turn creativity into your greatest competitive advantage. After decades partnering with the world's best, biggest, and most beloved brands, I want to take you behind the scenes to see how the most creative leaders turn ideas into impact. Each episode features leaders from top CEOs and CMOs to founders and authors, revealing how they stay inspired to create brands that launch and last, and how you can do it too. You'll walk away with practical lessons and tools you can use, whether you're repositioning your brand, rallying your team, or planning your next big launch. So let's get started and stay starry-eyed. My guest today is Elias Lehnert. He's the co-founder and owner of Legacy Pie Company, a brand that's reimagining the American bakery. Elias is a fourth-generation baker and proof that tradition and innovation can share the same crust. He grew up in a world of roadside pie stands and fresh-pressed cider as part of the storied Colorado Cherry Company, a family business that his great-grandma began in 1929. In 2020, Elias and his wife Rachel took their family's century of expertise and founded Legacy Pie Company in Denver, relaunching with the same amazing recipes, plus a new positioning and identity and modern marketing methods. Their creative, community-driven marketing, social engagement, and innovative investment program that invites customers to buy a piece of the pie shop in exchange for perks and pie points is revolutionizing the space. With several locations, Elias is strategically scaling the brand, driven by a mission to bring out the good in everyone. Because if pie is for special days, every day is for pie. Elias, welcome to Stay Starry-Eyed.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks for having me.
Well, as we jump up in, Elias is one of my favorite friends and clients. What do you hope the brand leader listening will take away from our conversation today? What's one thing you hope they might try or think differently about for their own brand and business?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, I've realized that, if you try to be everything to everybody, you'll be nothing to everyone. So really focus on the magic of your brand and kind of what you're good at and do that. Focus on the major things. And there's a reason people like what you do. So do that thing.
And do it well. Fewer, better things.
Definitely. Definitely.
What I would love to hear a little bit more about, Elias, we've known each other for a little while, but as a fourth generation baker, take us back to your earliest memories of the family business. How did you learn about the craft, the consistency, the consumer connection to figure out what is best about what you do and what your family's done before you?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, being a family business, fourth generation, it was sort of in every part of my childhood. I remember early days unloading boxes with my grandpa and learning how to, use the forklift in the warehouse. I worked in Loveland. The Loveland store is the oldest store. And my brother and I used to, when it was slow in the wintertime, we would play badminton in the back room. um, my parents didn't love that, but it was super, super fun. And then, yeah, just tons of time making pies with my mom in the bakery, sort of learning all the ways that she did things. So, yeah, I think what we learned about customer connection, joy is so important to what we do. We get to give people joy when they come into our shops and experience our product. And so we try to meet people where they're at with that joy, with that excitement. And so, yeah, those are some things that we really focus on.
You love it. When we talk about hospitality, a lot of times, especially in this space, it's you don't know what they're coming in with, but you certainly know that you can leave them better than when they came, just how they're treated.
Totally, totally. And hiring the right people, you know, we hire happy people because we're sort of a happy place, and it's hard to train that. It's like some people just enjoy serving people and have that hospitality gene. It's a tough thing to train, and so we really look for that with people that we invite into the pie journey with us.
That's a great point. And there are hardly any brands who are really known for that. I'm thinking like Southwest or Nordstrom. How do you pinpoint the happy people? Because I feel like that's something that most companies would need.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, first, I like to be I like to be in most of the interviews, and so I think relaying like, "Hey, this is a family business. This is near and dear to my heart, and I want to serve people the best that we can." And so, just getting a feel for someone in that interview is really important, and getting a sense of how they view service and what does service mean to them, um, and what does hospitality mean to them. those are some of the questions that we asked to try to highlight, if someone's a good fit.
Based on their questions, you say, yes, you are the pioneer we're looking for.
Exactly. You can pioneer with us.
Excellent. And for the listeners who don't know what Legacy Pie Company is, who haven't had the privilege and the pleasure of tasting them, tell us a little bit about the background. Tell us a little bit about how it started and where you and Rachel picked up.
Yeah. So we are a fourth generation family business specializing in sweet and savory pies. And it started in Wisconsin, actually, in 1929. My great grandma Catherine was known for making really good pies and cider. My grandparents moved to Colorado in the 60s and opened up the first roadside pie shop in Loveland, Colorado. And back then, cherries were a big thing in Loveland, Colorado, northern Colorado. And so they used to use the cherries for a lot of products. So the name Colorado Cherry Company was founded. So grew up in the business, and my wife and I sort of realized, man, we want to bring this to more people. We want to bring this to, urban environments. Right now, we're the Cherry Company is kind of up by Rocky Mountain National Park, so a lot of tourist traffic. But we wanted to see what the concept would do, in neighborhoods, and we wanted to bring the products to more people. So that's when Legacy was founded in 2020.
Really amazing to think about. Colorado Cherry Company, kind of at the outpost of all the adventure centers in Colorado, all around the Rocky Mountain National Parks. You can stop by there and get your sweet and savory snacks. They have pie pockets and things like that. Walk us through a little bit about when you set out to reimagine this nearly 100-year-old business and brand. What gaps did you and Rachel see in the market? What told you it was time to reinterpret the brand based on that?
Yeah, it was kind of during COVID, when were really realizing we had started to develop the idea of coming into Denver, to open our first shop, and it was a big cultural moment, and we really felt like people needed just a hug, in different ways, and we felt like we had a unique opportunity to bring pie to people. It's a food that people have memories and nostalgia towards. And everyone has a story with pie, whether it's their grandma or grandpa or mom or dad. And so people just light up when they come into the shops and taste our product. So we felt like it was a good opportunity then to sort of say, hey, let's bring this into the city.
I love the idea of just bringing a big hug to everybody. That you need a little comfort and love.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think pie does that more than almost anything. It's just warm and tasty.
I will say, before discovering Legacy Pie, I was not that big of a pie fan. I'm ashamed to admit it now, but I was like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's comforting. It's holidays. It's celebratory. But yeah, and then I discovered the pure buttered crust and the Lehnert way of making this deliciousness. And I was like, I could eat pie every day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. It was, and I can't
Definitely.
leave the pie shop without dropping a lot and bringing like piles and piles home. So
Yeah,
I just,
people have memories towards it, and it's not something you can find everywhere, unless you go to the grocery store, which those are not very good. And so to get a homemade pie is special, and to make that available every day is extra special.
especially with the generations of expertise that have gotten into this, I feel like you can taste that. It's got like the traditional, nostalgic, real ingredients, clean ingredients of the real butter, but you're also delving into the new. Talk to us a little bit about how it's both nostalgic and new. How did you decide what was non-negotiable and what you could modernize to?
For sure. Yeah, I think, the name change was a big deal when we went, from the Colorado Cherry Company to Legacy Pie Company. And something that I'm still reminded today, if you ask 10 guests in the Cherry Company what the name is, they call it the Cherry Pie Company, right? And it's, they know us for our pie. And so we felt like there was an opportunity to modernize the name a little bit, and the feel of the space. And so, we wanted to make sure that that pie was part of the name, so Legacy Pie Company. And then, another non-negotiable is just having that legacy really highlighted, in the actual name, so people can understand that that this is something that's been going on for, gosh, almost 100 years.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Not to mention, I think this is a big piece for brand leaders to ponder. When you select a name, make sure that it can expand with you. Colorado Cherry Company was brilliant at the time to be that regional player, especially passed down from one generation to the next. But as you think about beyond Colorado or beyond sweet pies, it seemed like there were some requirements that would dictate a new name that not only conveys, like you said, the family legacy, the equities, but also maybe it helps you expand.
Yeah, absolutely. With the cherries sort of put us in a little bit of a corner because a lot of people like cherries, but a lot of people don't. And when we started off in Denver, we actually were the Cherry Co. And so many times people would come in and ask us if we had other flavors other than cherry. And that's one of like 12 flavors that we have. And we were really trying to, push the savory piece as well because we do some excellent savory pies. And the savory, as you mentioned earlier, I mean, they're great for breakfast. We do breakfast hand pies. Chicken pot pies are best savory seller, so that's a great option for lunch. And then take and bakes as well. So if you want something to put in your freezer and have for your family, it makes a great meal any day of the week.
That's so crazy. Okay, for the foodies listening, walk us through some of the flavors, the varieties, or the flavor profiles, the ingredients for each day part. Because, like I said, most people just think of like holiday pie, like maybe a pumpkin pie, maybe an apple pie. Walk
Yeah,
us through like the top 12.
yeah. So the fun thing about pie is like as long as you have a good vessel, which we do, which is that buttery, flaky crust, you could do so many creative things for fillings. So we do a buffalo chicken, we do a pork green chili, hand pie, and we get our pork from a local barbecue place in Denver. And then quiche, breakfast quiche are super fun to do. We do a bison bacon snap mushroom pie, which is really popular. And then during the holidays, we'll do like a shepherd's pot pie. We do a Reuben. So there's tons of different fun things that we put into that crust.
So crazy. And how often do you do new flavors?
We do new flavors every month, kind of at a minimum. So we're doing a new savory, a new sweet, just about every month.
I'm pretty sure, and maybe a brand leader listening could bust me on this, but I'm pretty sure the Legacy Pie Company started inviting customers to vote on the next flavor before Crumble did. So I'm gonna throw it out there and
Yeah.
maybe timestamp that, but I'm pretty sure that you started that community engagement long before.
Yeah, and it's man, what a great thing that has been. It really gives people, our guests, the opportunity to just get excited about different flavors, and then they sort of have some ownership of that flavor. So if their flavor wins, if we have two or three different options that they're voting on, you know, and their flavor wins, you bet they're going to come try it, because they feel like they got that flavor into the shop. So creating those little pieces and opportunities for our guests to feel like owners and to feel like they've got a piece of this thing, it's just a great way to create community, and people just love it. I'm always amazed at how many people respond, whenever we put out those surveys on social media for different flavors.
And what's been the most exciting flavor so far?
Last year we did, and it's good for me too because the flavors that I think are going to win don't always win, right? And so one of our bakers created an ube custard pie, and it was going up against a cookies and cream flavor, and I was pretty certain that the cookies and cream was going to win, just because I thought I understood our market better. But the ube won, and man, it was so popular. People loved it. So that one I can see coming back, this year for sure.
The craziest thing is a lot of times only bigger companies will do this where the like maybe Lay's Do Us a Flavor campaign would do it once a year where they actually ask their customers input. The rest of the big brands, they think they have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on concept screens. And, until maybe Crumble, more of a scaled brand, could do it regularly through social media, nobody else was doing this to get feedback from guests. Where did that come from, Elias? And how did you think about just asking every month, what do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it was we felt like pies and the seasons are they're tied into one another, right? I mean, there's the fruit pies in the summertime, and then you have your pumpkin pecan stuff, in the fall, and all your holiday stuff. And so we felt like naturally the seasons played into what we do, but it becomes a lot to try to think about. Okay, we got to plan 12 months in advance, and so it's sort of one day it just dawned on us, man, we should just ask if we have a couple good ideas. Let's ask our fans what they want. Let's let them decide. And yeah, I don't think we'll go back. It's been really great.
Well, I think that's another way that you're modernizing the American bakery. Tell us a little bit about how you and Rachel decided to come back. Because obviously you go out into the world. Maybe you told your parents, I don't want to do the same thing you did. Tell us how you boomeranged back to take over and how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think as I got a little bit older, you just sort of see um, the joy that it brings to people, and it's so fun to have a team of folks who are you know working towards a vision and a mission, and to be able to deliver products and services. And to be up close with the customer. It's just all things that are really satisfying from just a work standpoint. So I just think it's an honor for me to be involved, and timing is everything. It was great timing. And so yeah, the stars aligned.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
Uh, as you said, pies really associated with more holidays and special occasions. Tell us about, especially for, I'm thinking about all the other businesses like smoothies, super tied to summer, or sometimes sides, always tied to barbecues. It is traditionally a seasonal business. Tell us how you've repositioned it as something people can crave in other and any time of the year, every day of the week. How'd you break away from that seasonality?
Yeah, I think one thing we realized is just this idea of celebration. Every day is a day to celebrate, and pie is often a celebratory thing, whether it's a holiday. Mainly holidays are the association that folks have. So we started to allow folks to write, different letters and phrases on their pies with crusts, whether it's a happy birthday or congrats. So that's a really easy way that folks can start to think about, hey, maybe I'm going to a cake for this occasion. You know what? I'm gonna mix it up and get a pie and write something unique on top. And then all the savory flavors, right? Like having those hot and ready, all day long, and then the take and bakes just make it easier for people to think of us for a meal. So getting people to convert their thinking a little bit around, is this a special occasion thing? Is this for Thanksgiving, or can I have this for my family for dinner? Has been a really fun thing to see, because people just light up when they're like, I can get a homemade chicken pot pie for my family. How cool is this? So yeah, the savory piece is so huge for us.
That's huge. When you think about outlining the occasions, like you just said, a lot of people are only stuck in one way of looking at it. You were able to expand the perspective and talk about, yeah, savory for dinner, savory for snack. The other thing I love about what Legacy Pie does is, yeah, showing you the messages. So for your birthday, I only know one person before this who would even envisioned it. I only want pie and never cake again. And now everybody's making the switch. Not to mention cake. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not for weddings, but you also do wedding pies. Tell us about that.
Yes. Yeah, we do wedding pies. We do a ton of wedding pies. And the fun thing, you can do different shapes and sizes, right? So we have little like pie bites that are great. We have cutie pies, which are single serve. Um, and I think an attribute that people associate with pie, maybe more so than like a cake or a cookie or a cupcake, is this idea of being wholesome. So it just feels like more of a wholesome, whether it's a meal or dessert. There's just less ingredients, there's less garbage in there. And so, as the trends kind of move towards that, we're positioned well to meet people where they want to be met.
Good call. Yeah, you got actual veggies and like whole, we from my past days, whole muscle protein. You got
Yeah.
fruits, actual fruits. What a concept. Instead
Yeah.
of stock or chock full of sugar.
Right. Exactly.
Makes sense. At the same time, like you can do whatever messaging you want. I feel like you have a canvas to add to.
Yeah. And I feel like we're just sort of scratching the surface with all the opportunities with gift wrapping and We have little stickers that people can add on that say congrats or thank you. It's a great it's a great gift for if you've just had a baby, like, and people are looking on, meal trains. We see that a lot. People buying pies for new families. So there's so many different opportunities for gifting that pie really fits in well with.
Ooh, gender reveal. You either do like like
Yeah.
gray pink or like a blueberry blue.
Yes, we do it. We do a lot of those.
You have such a canvas to put other alternative messages for those leaders listening who maybe have tuned in for the Greg Creed episode. You and the team were nice enough to create a pie that said, "Be bold, not beige," that we sent
Yes,
right to him.
that's a great example. Yep, and we see companies doing that all the time, whether it's like their logo or a specific phrase that we send out to companies. For Pi Day is a big one for us, so we do tons of stuff for Pi Day. So yeah,
A314
there we go, coming up.
coming up. It's also my birthday, so I'm going to birthday pie.
Yes.
Well, switching gears a little bit, a lot of brands struggle as they scale. Elias, what systems, habits, cultural elements help you protect the product quality of that flaky, buttery crust with real ingredients inside, and the hospitality and the focus on the community, the culture as you grow?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're pretty early onto this, trying to figure out all the little pieces to try to grow and scale. Yeah, I mean, people are so you hear it all the time, but people are the most important piece. So having good operators, having good staff, because we want to be known for our products and we want to be known for our people. So when we get 5-star Google reviews, I want people to say, love the pies, and gosh, people were super friendly. So yeah, I think hiring the right people just takes time. And so we don't want to grow too quick, where we are, choosing growth over quality. So yeah, making sure that we stay true to our recipes, and don't try to cut corners. And there is no corners in pie, so you can't cut corners. Um, but yeah, the people are huge.
And how do you find the best people? Because that's such an important piece in this business. How do you find the people who could stay true to the amazing 100-year-old recipes, B, deliver that hospitality and the sweet joy and kindness and pioneering attitude?
Yeah, I think making sure that they can see, right, it's such a fun place to work. And we really emphasize that we get to make and sell pies. We get to make people's day, and people get a sense for that when they come in for their interviews and when they do their training, and that pretty quickly they'll realize that you know this is a fun place to work. So it's just contagious, and creating that contagious culture is so important. So I feel like that's been something I'm really proud of. Every time I go into a shop, or I see a Google review that has that 5-star, it lights me up. So yeah, it's contagious, and finding people who want to be part of it is kind of the secret sauce.
Are there things that you share with those new hires to, I know you said, this means a lot to me. This is the family that's being passed on. Are there elements that you share with them even at that point, like the values or the story? What makes the biggest impact to show the type of person you are looking for and make sure they fit?
Yeah, we always go through our core values: service, stewardship, joy, simplicity, and people. So we always kind of walk through those core values, and just make sure that they have an alignment with those. And that's kind of the easiest way to tell if someone's going to be a good fit.
When you think about building that strong following with modern marketing, like I said, the amazing job that you and the team have done with social, local store marketing, PR. What have you seen make the greatest impact? And this can be for, bigger brands that are well established or for up and coming brands. What are the levers that you think are most worthwhile? Where would you put your time, energy, resources?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success, just doing little pop-ups, whether it's a farmer's market, or we'll set up outside of a shopping center for the holidays. We purchased an old school bus and we branded it the Butter Bus, and we drive that around with pies, setting up in different areas throughout the year. And to me, that is just being boots on the ground and talking to people and, bringing your brand out into areas that you don't currently exist. It just, to me, that matters so much. And I think I've seen the return on those investments, probably more than any sort of digital marketing. So yeah, just the people, the face to face, I think is so important.
And I think bigger brands are realizing that too, which is why you see such an emphasis on local store marketing and rallying the teams, whether it's through, franchisees teams or having more of the loyalty component. When you
Yeah,
think about, what advice you would give either to expanding brands or established who maybe you're far from the guest, because the bigger you get sometimes, the less likely you are to have boots on the ground with that one-on-one time. What advice would you give?
yeah. I think about, Sweet Green is a big company, and they opened up just down the street from one of our locations, and they really wanted to emphasize that they cared about the community, even though they're this giant, publicly traded company. And so they invited a bunch of neighbors, neighbor shops to come and be part of their grand opening weekend. I thought that was really cool. They, they're so big, but they wanted to emphasize that, hey, we care about the community. We're not just here to like put up a Sweet Green sign and sell salads. We want our guests to know that, we care about the street and we want to be part of it. So I thought that was a really good kind of cool thing to see from a large company.
That's a great example. The other one I love is Raising Cane's, where they won't just open a shop and let it linger or blast out ads. They actually get there in advance and they rally the whole, community. Like I think I saw when they opened in another part of Colorado, like they're doing Habitat for Humanity and inviting all these people to their opening parties and really galvanizing the locals around it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
No better pie pop-up have I ever seen than the butter bus. What do people do when you show up in a bus that looks like a stick of butter? What sort of expressions do you see?
Yeah, a lot of people, yeah, people love it. They take pictures, and it's fun to create those memorable experiences, right? Like you want some, whether it doesn't have to be posted on social media, but it's just fun to take a picture by a giant bus that looks like a stick of butter. So yeah, I mean, creating those memorable experiences. And man, we get so many people who just pop into the shop and they say they saw the butter bus whipping around town, running red lights. And so yeah, it's been a really fun thing to see.
It's not only memorable and it stands out in the street, you want to follow it back, but it's ownable because it outlines the reason to believe in the real butter crust and the legacy that's been passed down with clean ingredients.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we were looking for another vehicle for these pop-ups, and I saw an old bus that was for sale and was like, man, this would be perfect. We should just market it as a butter. And then just the idea, the butter bus just sort of flowed, right? So it was just one of those kind of light bulb moments that we had as a team. And yeah, it's been fun to see it out in the city.
Genius. I hope everybody finds their own butter bus, their own version of the butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit more about the non-traditional ways. We talked a little bit about the modern marketing, the local store marketing, and asking for people's input. And this is the other thing I love about what you're up to is instead of traditional funding or maybe fundraising, either raising money outside or maybe doing crowdfunding, you invited customers to buy a slice of the pie, their own piece of the pie, and invest in new locations. And for those listening, what that means is you got to invest in the next pie shop, and you would be thanked and have your investment returned to you in pie points and VIP pie perks, basically. What inspired the model and has this community-backed growth impacted that expansion, Elias, when you think about that? And it was super exciting too, where you had, X number of stores, but you want to open one more without selling out. You wanted to, again, invite the community to be a part of that.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've realized, people want to be part of something. And they want to see their communities win. So it was a perfect sort of combination of that idea. Plus, we needed money to open and expand. And so, yeah, we thought about getting traditional financing, which we've done, but we asked the question, what would it look like to invite local folks to invest anywhere from $100 to $10,000? for a return. So it's a real investment to help, their community local pie shop succeed. And yeah, it's just been satisfying to see the returns on that. You know, you have all these local ambassadors now in the community who have a vested interest in seeing your success. And I just got an email today from an investor, a community partner, we like to call him, who's doing a fundraiser for their school, and they want us to be involved. And it's like, of course, that's what we're here for. And so yeah, it's been really special, and we want to try to do it more in the future. It was challenging because the company that we worked with actually went under to help us like raise the money and distribute the funds every quarter. So it's been a little bit of chaos in trying to organize that since they went under. But we think there's some magic there, and people love to get their returns as gift cards. So instead of paying them back, actual money, they'll elect a gift card where they can come back into the shop. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and we're early on to sort of discovering all of it.
That was my next question. Would you do it again? Other than that snafu and
Yeah, I think I would. I think I might architect it a little bit differently, but yeah, people are so passionate about their rewards that they get, their loyalty and their rewards. And so I think we could play more into that. Right now, the systems that we use are a little fragmented in terms of how we accept the investment and how we give back the return. But if we could figure out a better way to make it more tied into like rewards into the stores, I think people would be into that.
I think you're right, though. I think people want to be a part of something, especially a brand that they are so passionate about, a beloved brand that they want to help. And I love the idea of inviting them to own their piece of the pie. You could be in this with us and then reap the rewards on the inside.
Yeah, and there's so much that we don't see, right? There's a lot of word of mouth that happens. If you're at the dinner table and you bring a pie from a shop that you invested in, like you're gonna tell your friends not only that the pie is good and hopefully they enjoy it as well, but also like, yeah, and I was able to invest in this pie shop. It's just a really cool way to sort of, yeah, get the word out.
On that note, if you can afford to make any big investments, you'd be like, yeah, I own this. I'm an investor in
Yeah,
this in this business. It's kind of
exactly.
a big deal. I was an investor in the pie shop. When you think about your goals for what's next, you've done a lot, especially like we said, branching off from the family biz, reimagining what it is that you do while being true to some of the recipes and the traditions, the ways of working. What do you and Rachel hope to see next?
I think the big question that we have is, as we want to grow and open up more locations, what's the right what's the right people model, right? I think you look at brands like Chick-fil-A, it feels like they've really got it figured out with the people operations side of things. I mean, they're operating at a high level, and it's just friendly, great service no matter where you go. And so we want to replicate something like that, because yeah, as we're growing, even right now with 6 locations, you start to feel thin, right? In terms of like one owner, 2 owners, in all these locations. So we're trying to figure out what's the best way that we can invite owners in, to make an impact in different communities that we want to open. Because I think that's the secret sauce for sure.
Good call. Yeah. Is it the owner operator model? How do you maintain and pass along the culture so that it scales?
Yep.
Are there other examples like Chick-fil-A who you think do a good job of that?
I really like Dutch Bros. I think, man, they're pretty infectious. You really can pick up on the vibes of any Dutch Bros you go to, and I think the reason for that is their operators are used to be broistas, I think is what they call them. So they kind of hire within, so they've got this really strong cultural net of folks that have worked in the coffee shops, who then can elevate to own one day. I think that's a really cool way to do it. So yeah, I think they do a really good job.
I feel like there is something to that elevation component. Like you have a long-term career here that could be contributing to that. I think another example would be Swig. Todd Smith was on the podcast and he talked about how every single person is a day maker. and you are incentivized and really encouraged to have that mentality and that attitude to really wow the guest.
Yeah.
I also think there has it's something to do with family founded, like Chick-fil-A, Legacy Pie Company. Another one, Sport Clips. Now I hear there is such a thing as like a family founder conference, a meeting of the minds that
Ooh,
you should all get you in on.
it sounds fun.
Let's figure that out for all of you visionaries to get together. In the next 3 to 5, though, Elias, what do you think will separate the creative leaders like you who are looking at things differently, like we talked about reimagining this business, but also the ways that you would connect with guests from maybe those who will fall behind?
Yeah, I think people really can pick up on authenticity and, you know, if you're being genuine as a brand, if you're doing stuff that's maybe out of whack. Like if we decided to do, a protein pie or something like that, or protein shakes, I think people would be like, what? What are you doing? You're just going along for the protein bandwagon. So I think being true to who you are is so important. And I think when you forget what got you to where you are, I think about Cracker Barrel, right? They had a little snafu with some of their branding stuff, which they corrected, I believe. I think, right, people love the Cracker Barrel for what the Cracker Barrel, was and is, and they don't want to change that. They don't want it to change. And you look at Starbucks, right? Like all the stuff they're doing right now to go back to Starbucks, right? Where they're writing names on cups and they're writing messages and they're getting ceramic mugs and they're bringing back the coffee stations. I think people like love your brand for what it is, and don't feel the pressure to change it. So I think that's a big thing that I've sort of seen.
Yes. Looking back to move forward a lot of times. If you stray, what's your plan to not stray from what great grandma Lehnert put in place?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, we still want,
Pressure.
yeah, no pressure. We still want to do everything by hand and hand crimp, and we want to make all of our stuff in house, and we want to use the same high quality ingredients. There's temptations to cut corners for efficiencies, or cost cutting purposes, but we really want to try to stay true to those things that matter, which is like the quality of the products and the people. So yeah, those are the things that we're going to focus on.
Is there anything along those lines, like the cost cutting, the maybe machinery that have been proposed to you that you've had to say, no, that doesn't fit? Give us some examples of what you could have done.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a cheaper butter alternative, right? Where it's like, hey, if you use these oils or these sort of fake butter things, those have been proposed. And actually, the products taste quite good, but I don't know, it just didn't sit well thinking about not using real butter in all of our crusts.
That's a really good example. And several years ago, when we did our North Star session together, one of the best days of my life, other than when my kids were born, was when we ordered every pie off of the Gold Belly site
Mm,
for a competitive analysis and our tasting. And that was the day that we realized that there is a lot of fake butter, stabilizers, oils, like hardly anybody was doing a real buttered crust.
yes, for sure. Yeah, and I think, yeah, our customers would. I mean, you can taste the difference, right? Um, and so, yeah, those are non-negotiables. We got to stick to the butter, especially with the bus now. We're locked in.
Exactly. When you think about things that complement the pies, what else have you been able to keep the pie at the center, but also build around it? I know you do coffee and ice cream, the complementary adjacencies.
Yeah, we've partnered with some local ice cream companies, because yeah, it's a really natural thing to get a pint or a quart of vanilla ice cream when you're picking up a couple pies. So that's been a huge win. And then we also highlight some different local retail products, jams and jellies, and then some other fun giftable things, birthday candles, things like that folks can add on, with their pie purchases. So those have been some pretty clear wins. Cards, greeting cards. People, love to write notes to go along with their pies.
That makes sense. Handwritten notes with your handmade pies. It only makes sense. And
Yep.
difference from this digital age we live in?
Yes, it's a big difference, and people comment and yeah, they feel the love for sure with something handmade and handwritten.
Assuming you're able to figure out the people piece, which I know you can, especially when you look at bigger brands like Chick-fil-A that have now gone global, what are you hoping to see for legacy? How big do you want it to be, or how big would fit with the brand and with the fam?
Yeah, I think, in the near term, I think there's opportunity in the state of Colorado. We have two locations. We're looking at a couple different sites sort of at the moment right now, but I think there's opportunity to open up anywhere from 8 to 12 kind of within the state. And just sort of see how that goes and how that feels with, can we maintain some growth and stay true to who we want to be. So, we're kind of looking at that in the next 2 to 3 years and going from there.
Good. That's the other difference, I think, with the family founded versus a public company like a Kava. They have these, requirements now for X number of stores per year. It's like
Yeah.
you just need to make sure you're true to the fam. And speaking of that, like we said, no pressure. But do you feel any pressure that you have to continue to?
Hmm. I think the pressure just comes from the recognition of the opportunity, um, and the recognition that I do think we have something special that people would like. And so I feel the pressure to bring that in a way that makes sense, to as many places that we can.
Yeah, in a good way. And people
Yeah.
are starting to notice. We just saw Elias, congratulations to you, tasting table named Legacy Pie Code the best pie in Colorado with their best pies in every state across America,
Yeah, that was fun to see. Thank you for sharing that.
of course. Are there any other, if we're dreamlining, as Tim Ferriss would say, any other milestones or things you'd hope to see in the future?
Yeah, I really want, we started shipping pies last year. I want that to become more of a thing, make it really easy for people, potentially even in the locations to, if they're purchasing a pie and they want to send one to a family member across the country, make it really easy for people to do that in the stores even. So yeah, we're just sort of scratching the surface with the pie shipping, but I think there's a big opportunity for some e-commerce stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, ecom pies for everybody. You get a pie. You get a pie. Everybody gets a pie shipped to their home or their business. I also think catering, which you've started to do, like you
Yep.
talked about, weddings, parties, pies for everybody.
Yes.
Are there any other flavors that are on the pie horizon that you hope?
Yeah, we're the Horizon. Yes. They're next month we're playing around with a couple different banana ideas. So we're thinking about a banana brulee, so like a creme brulee, but banana cream pie that has brulee top. And then we really want to do a banoffee pie, which is like a caramel dulce de leche sort of filling with some fresh bananas and cream on the top. So those are a couple that we've been toying with for March.
Wow, that sounds delicious. Any others that are personal faves that you would love to see? What would you want to put in a pie that has never been done?
That's a good question. I've always thought some sort of taco savory pie would be cool. That's one I've thought about. I thought like a margarita, like we do a key lime pie, but could we do a little margarita twist on that? Maybe, that could be
Yes,
fun.
yes, you could.
There's so much you can do with pie. So my
Like a
mind's
frozen
always running.
margarita pie.
Yeah.
Little like salty crust.
Yes.
Yes. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a little sweet and salty. I don't know. We'd have to see. Frozen pie? You freeze the pot pies, you do a frozen margarita pie. And
I
then a
think I
strawberry margarita pie.
I've got
They
a one customer for sure. I know that for a fact.
Sorry, pals, there are no pies. I got them all. Uh, awesome. When you think about all the different pies that you personally have created, I want to know how Elias stays creative day to day. How do you keep this up? How do you keep up not only the creative community involvement, the marketing methods, just the creative ways that you've approached this as you modernize the biz? What do you do each day to keep that going?
Yeah, I think your personal world always sort of overrides your work world, right? So kind of seeing how you're doing personally is good. And, for me, connecting with God, right, and knowing my place in the world, um, and how small I am, it just sort of unlocks and gives you, yeah, a little bit of opportunity to live with wonder and feel like you can take risks because you sort of know your place a little bit. And so, yeah, that's good. And just feeling healthy, trying to run. I like to run. So yeah, those are a couple things that help.
Good ones. Isn't it funny how realizing how small we are helps you to think bigger?
So true. Yeah. Anytime I get, don't get, what's the saying? Don't get caught thick in the thin of things. When you get caught thick in the thin of things, you sort of can get overwhelmed pretty quick. And yeah, having that perspective makes you more creative and gives you ideas and gives you hope and wonder and excitement for the future. So I think it's so important.
With that in mind, Elias, let's switch into a little starry eyed sparks, bit of a lightning round. What is the most inspiring book you've read? What is a book that maybe you've read lately or your favorite of all time that's inspired that wonder?
Well, my wife reads like 60 books a year, so she's getting me into reading more because I have to do something when she's reading next to me. But I finished Born to Run recently, which I'm sure you have read, but it's a great story. I really like that book.
So good. That's one of my favorites. What about a new thing you'd like to try this year?
I would love to go camping with my daughter. We haven't been camping yet.
That'd be so sweet. Yes. How old is she now?
She's 2.
She's gonna love it. What about a word that describes how you want to lead in the next year?
I think action. Action's good.
Keep moving forward. What brand do you admire that's not one of your own?
Hmm. Man, I love Costco. I think they just they're just good. Like they just are so dialed and I don't know. Costco is a good brand.
They've got some things figured out. How are their pies though?
They're pretty good actually. Their pumpkin pie is pretty good. I haven't had their chicken pot pie, but yeah, we can compete on quality, but pricing is going to be tough to compete.
True. My father-in-law used to go and get a massive Costco pie that he would eat most days for breakfast, and I thought that was a good way to go. I thought it was a nice way to go. Do you ever see yourself selling Legacy Pie Co. in places like Costco, select higher end retailers in this case?
Maybe I think if we develop, different stores throughout the state and it makes sense, I can see that being a good fit. But not too early, not too soon.
And then what about you got something big to do, Elias? What's your go-to walk-on song or pump-up song? What song do you play when you have to get the energy going?
Probably Let's Dance, David Bowie.
Oh, classic. Yes. Your favorite cocktail or mocktail?
I like Miller High Life, simple guy. But I also drink wine
I
and
thought
just
you were
any.
say Coors Light. How could you not go Rocky Mountain Cold?
I know I do like a good banquet as well.
And then what about your favorite pie flavor? Everybody should know that the ultimate pie flavor for Legacy Pie Co. remains, as is most brand non-negotiables, cherry, classic tart cherry. But what are some of your other faves?
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite. Strawberry rhubarb is a fun seasonal one as well. I love the tart, sweet, buttery, crispy. It's a great combo.
Hmm. And then savory.
Savory. I want to say yeah, chicken pot pie.
So good. I've got two in my freezer, and as soon as we run out, the children start to get nervous. I'm serious. What's when you think about all that we've covered today, Elias? Thank you again for sharing just your experience, the story, really the cool and creative ways that you have approached this together with your beautiful wife, and how you've reimagined the business. When you think about a mindset or an action you'd encourage brand leaders listening to try after today, what's one thing you think they could do today?
Yeah, I think people and your customers are excited when you're excited. So try to get excited. What excites you? in your life and in your brand. Try to bring that out.
Yeah, go and do that. And who is a creative brand leader you admire and think we should invite to Stay Starry-Eyed next? Who's one of your favorites?
Well, we did mention Crumble a few times. I do think it's pretty amazing their ability to. They seem a little bit ahead of the curve culturally. They're always right in the mix, and they're operationally able to, 1,000 locations, different flavors every week. I think they do a good job. And then Dutch Bros, anyone from Dutch Bros, I like their brand, their concept.
So we had the head of menu, the VP of menu for Crumble on recently, Amy Eldridge. And I had her share the top secrets.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're
secrets. So we still need to double down on that. The Dutch Bros. Who in Dutch Bros would you want to hear from?
I don't know. I don't know anyone that works there, honestly. I just know that they're a company that I like.
Yeah, that you admire. Anybody you know personally who you would be excited to hear from, or you wonder, how do you do what you do?
I mean, it would be great to get our friend Gerard Lewis on here. I think he would have a couple little nuggets of wisdom for you, don't you think?
I think he would.
I think he should get on here.
Let's do it. Let's have Gerard come. G Money. We'll call it the G Money Pod.
Yes.
Perfect. So for anybody listening, go to legacypie.co and find your special shipping ability pies that you can ship for free. Elias, thanks again for sharing all of your, like I said, your story, your creativity with us. I just enjoyed being with you. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Let's double date soon.
That sounds great. All right, pie on, people. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Stay Starry-Eyed podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked new ideas, strategies, and tools you can use to move your brand and business forward. If you enjoyed this episode, here's how you can help share it with your fellow brand leaders who need it most. Hit follow, share it with a friend, and please leave us 5 stars or a quick review. You know we love all the stars. You can also find show notes, resources, and additional inspiration at starryeyedstrategy.com. Until next time, stay starry-eyed.